Before I explain anything, look at this. I just gave it a username and that's it. Within 3 minutes, I've gotten their GitHub, TikTok, YouTube, and where they're from, and all the platforms they forgot they ever signed up to. I didn't hack a single thing. This is OSINT. And if you didn't know, OSINT stands for Open Source Intelligence. The idea is simple. There's an insane amount of information on people, companies, infrastructure that is completely public. It's sitting on Google, social media platform, on certificate logs, on pastebins. And today I'm going to be showing you the best ways and most practical methods to find it. And before we begin, just remember, this is simply for educational purposes only and should never be done to harm anyone. Now, if you want to go deeper into cybersecurity, we have a Discord community where we do CTFs, practice labs, talk about cybersecurity every single day. Link is in the description and you should come join us. Let's begin. Heading on over to the site we all know and love, google.com and Google dorking. I know some of you have heard of the term, but for anyone who doesn't know, there's a Google crawler. It visits every single URL on the internet that it can find. It doesn't care and it doesn't know if the site is sensitive or not. It simply indexes it. So if a server left a misconfigured config file, an open folder, a password, an email on the internet and forgot it, Google has probably seen it, and more importantly, it will show it to you if you ask the important questions, the right questions. So, on the search bar, I'm going to type into double quotes, and inside of them, I'm going to type in my name. I'm going to search for myself. Who am I? Tang. I'm going to enter. Let's see what we get. And first, we see here, how am I Tang? Who am I Tang? And we scroll down. Most of them, who am I Tang? And in fact, all of them are going to be who am I Tang. We scroll down, we see who am I Tang. We go to page 2, for example. We still see who am I Tang, who am I Tang. Nothing else, only who am I Tang. And that's the thing about double quotes. It only shows us exact matches. So as you can see, we're doing a bit more advanced searching. Let's see what happens when I remove the double quotes. I'm going to remove the double quotes. I'm going to enter. And again, obviously, we're going to get a searches containing who am I Tang. And we scroll down, we're going to go to page 2, for example. We'll scroll down a bit more. And out here, we see something like who am I? Which is obviously not me, has nothing to do with me, but since it contains who am I, it's going to show it up here. We don't want that. We want exact matches. And let's say we want exact matches from YouTube. Who am I Tang? And then from the site, YouTube. We would use the search operator, youtube.com. And we can do it right here, site followed by youtube.com. And then in double quotes, we will type who am I Tang. I'm going to enter. And we can see youtube.com, who am I Tang, containing who am I Tang. And we're only going to get containing who am I Tang from YouTube. Page 2, again, only from YouTube, containing who am I Tang. And obviously this is not anywhere close to dangerous. This is just at more advanced searching to get better results. But this can become dangerous pretty quickly if you use for something, for example, like file type. I can type it right here, file type, and then search up file type env, and then from site, github.com. And obviously, env files are supposed to be hidden from the public, but it does happen by accident or on purpose, or the user thinks no one's going to see it, and they post the env files on their public repo, which will show up here. I'm going to enter, for example, file type env, github.com, and then I'm going to pull up this one, for example, pokerrust.env at main, and right here we can see this guy posted his env file on his GitHub repo, on his public GitHub repo. Right, we see database URL, Postgres, and we see his Postgres user, hash, and Postgres password, Pikachu. Obviously, I don't know if he did it on purpose or by accident, but it's not supposed to be here. We're not supposed to be seeing his database username and database password. So you can see how this can become pretty dangerous. I'm going to search up something else. Also, for example, let's search up usernames and passwords. So let's search up at gmail.com. So we only get searches that contain at gmail.com. And then we're going to do another one that contains password. And then I'm going to do it file type txt and then site github.com. That's that. Let's see, for example, let's take the first one. And right here, we have a txt file called gits_pass, and we can see a bunch of stuff. I don't know what this guy is doing. I don't know if it's on purpose. I don't really know, but I don't think it's supposed to be here. Right here, we see a SSH. It's telling us to SSH on this IP, on this server, using this password. I don't know if it's supposed to be here, but obviously it's not good. He's showing his IP, his port where his SSH server is open, and his password. So yeah, you can see how this can become pretty dangerous. But this can be also very useful. Another way I use it is for exams, which you can also use it. I don't know if it's ethical, I don't really know, but you can use it for exams. For example, I type file type followed by PDF, And now inside double quotes, you can type something that the exam might contain. For example, math exam. You can type your school name or whatever. They might have forgotten a test, a exam on the internet, which we can search up. I might enter on this, for example, file type PDF, math exam, the first one. And right here we can see a math exam from the University of Chicago, Harris Public Policy. You have 1.5 hours to complete the exam. And we scroll down, it's a normal math exam. And you can practice, do whatever. And as you can see, Google dorking is super useful to get better and more consistent search results. But it can also be used by threat actors to find usernames and passwords of users that accidentally or not really by thinking twice posted their credentials online. So just remember, anything you post online, and once it's out there, anyone with the right search term can find it. Now moving on to layer 2, the harvester. A quick one I will show you guys. It comes pre-installed on Kali Linux, so if you have Kali, you don't have to do anything. And what it basically does is query multiple public data sources to pull emails, subdomains, hosts associated with a domain. And this is done all passively. No traffic goes to a target. So you're basically talking to third-party sources like certificate logs, DNS databases, search engines, and the target has no idea this is happening. Let me show you guys. So inside our terminal, we need to specify the tool we're going to be using. So the harvester with an uppercase H. If you don't type uppercase H, it's not going to work because it's case sensitive. And I can show you guys what happens when you do it. You're going to get a message from Kali developers. The command the harvester is deprecated. Please use the harvester with the uppercase H instead. I'm looking this up to make it nice and clean. So the harvester, and let's type dash help to see all the commands we can run. Let's scroll up. Right here, the harvester, we can do -H, and we have a bunch of options we can run that are in box brackets and square brackets. These are optional, we don't have to do this. All of them except one. The harvester -d domain, we have to give a domain, this is mandatory. This is the bare minimum, and we can do it right now. The harvester -d domain, and I'm going to give it my website, whoamitank.com. And then right here, we're going to see no IPs found, no emails found, no people found, no hosts found, and no subdomains found. This happens because I don't have any subdomains registered. I don't have any emails registered, so you're not going to get anything. But we can do it on some other website like github.com. Let's try it out. The harvester, again, -d for domain, and then we're going to give it github.com. And then we're going to use -b for the data sources we're going to be querying, and we're going to be using two basic ones like hacker target for passive DNS data and something like rapid DNS for DNS lookup database. We can also add a lot more. There's a lot more out there. We can do stuff like DNS dumpster or Anubis if you had their API keys. We don't, I'm going to use it too, but you can add a lot more to get a lot more information. And we're going to use the option F to save it into a file. I'm going to call it results.xml. I'm going to send it. And it's pretty fast. You can see it happen immediately. It's reading the proxies from my proxies. And then right here, the target is showing me the target github.com. And it's reading the API keys from apikeys.yelm. But there's not going to be anything. And it's searching, and it's right here. It's done. It's super fast. We're going to go up again to see what happened. You can see all these results. We got all the subdomains. Right here, it's searching the hacker target, it's searching rapid DNS, and it did it super quickly. It found no IPs, no emails, no people found because it's not registered on the github.com domain. And it found 291 hosts. We can see a lot of subdomains like api.github.com, archiveprogram.github.com, and we see their IPs. And we can open the XML file by typing xdg-open results.xml. Now it opens a page for us, and this is a bit more easier to see. Here it shows us the command we ran, the IP, and then the host name. Here we find all these subdomains. And now this is a gold mine for a bug bounty hunter or even a threat actor, because every subdomain can be a point of attack, a surface attack. Moving on to layer 3, to cool off a little bit, I'm going to be showing you two simple tools, yet powerful, Sherlock and Migrate. They're command line tools. You give it a username and it maps out a whole online identity. So it looks to thousands of websites to check if that website, that username is on those websites, and it also shows you information like where they're from, how many followers they have, and their description. Let's begin. Starting off with a Sherlock, we type the tool name, of course. Then we do -H for help to see what options we have, what we can do with a Sherlock. So here, Sherlock, the tool name obviously, then all of these in box brackets in square brackets are optional, all these options here. as I said before, but only one is not. Usernames. This one is mandatory, obviously. It needs to have a username to search it up. So let's do that. Let's clear it up and do Sherlock. Let's do who am I tag. Let's run it. After it's done here, we can see it tried a bunch of usernames on who am I tag. But we don't have to type only one username. We can type multiple usernames. Like again, Sherlock. Let me clear this up so it's nice and clear. If we type Sherlock again, and we type who am I tag, we don't have to give one username. We can give multiple usernames. We can even give it a TXT file full of usernames. But I'm going to give multiple ones like who am I tag, and we can separate the names with a space. So space. I'm going to give some like network Chuck, and then I'm going to give another one like Hacker Loy. And then I'm going to search. I'm not going to go through all of these because it's going to take kind of long and it's going to be too much. And I'm going to give it one single site. We specified first one single site with dash site. And then I'm going to do YouTube. You don't do youtube.com. You just give it the name YouTube. And then we hit enter. It's going to run super quick. It's going to check if my tag, network Chuck, and Hacker Lawyer on YouTube. Obviously, we are on YouTube. Otherwise, you want to watch this. And yeah, this is cool and all. It shows us if the user is registered on a specific site, but it doesn't give us any information. No information at all. That's where Migrate steps in. Not only it looks through thousands of websites, I'm pretty sure it's like 3,000, but it also tells us public information on those websites, like if they registered on Germany, USA, the description, how many followers they have, and so on. And we can do it right here. Let's clear this up once again. But Migrate doesn't come pre-installed on Kali Linux like Sherlock or the Harvester. We have to manually install it, but that's no problem. We can do it real quick. We type pip3 install Migrate. And we hit enter. We're going to get an error on this one because we need a virtual environment and we need to set it up real quick. You can do it by typing virtual env migrate. So we're making a virtual environment named Migrate. And if you don't have a virtual environment, just type sudo apt install virtual env and it's going to install it. We hit enter. After it's done setting up the virtual environment, it's going to look something like this, super messy. Just clear it up to make it like nice and clean. And now we need to activate the virtual environment by typing source migrate bin activate, and then we hit enter, and then by this right here, you know you did it successfully. Now we can install it. We do pip3 install migrate, and we hit enter. After it's done installing, clear this up. Now we do migrate dash help to see all the options we can do once again. Right here, we scroll up here, migrate. We have a bunch of options. A lot of options. Migrate is pretty big. Here, positional arguments. We have to give the username again. I'm gonna do it right now. Migrate to show you guys, and I'm gonna do who am I tag. Super simple. I'm gonna show you the results. We hit enter. After it's done here, you can see it scanned 500 sites. And before I said 3,000, this is because it's capped at 500, so it doesn't search too much. But you can do the option -8 to search all of the websites. So here, back at here, we can see it returned 50 accounts from 500, and it extracted info from 2 accounts. We can scroll up and see that right here. And here, GitHub, it found my GitHub, it found my Telegram, my full name, who am I tag on my Telegram. It found my GitHub here, and it got a bunch of information. It got the UID, the image, created that. It got my location, Germany, my follower count, my following count, my full name, and my bio, and also my blog URL, which is my whoamitag.com. So it got a bunch of more information, even more than Sherlock. And one more cool thing that Migrate has, we can clear this up. We can do migrate -web. And here we see the Migrate web interface. We don't have to do any commands anymore. We have a super clean GUI, super understandable. Here we have the username to search. We can type who am I tag, for example. Number of sites we can do. We can type our own number of sites. We can do search all the sites. We can do timeout so we don't get timed out. We can do a timeout between how much seconds it should take before searching the next site. We can do filters. We can check the filters, specify sites. We can do singular sites like YouTube for multiple usernames, just like Sherlock, and we can select tags to look through websites with specific tags. We also have advanced option like enable a username, disable recursive search, disable information extraction. We can use proxies, Tor proxies, I2P proxy URLs, and a bunch more options. I'm just going to type 5 so it doesn't take too long so I can show you guys. I'm gonna hit start search. It's going to search the search in progress. Your request is being processed. In the background, this page will automatically redirect once the results are ready. In real time, this is super fast. And then here, it gives a super cool combined graph. It obviously only found one YouTube, because I only give 5 sites. It didn't give much more. It found the YouTube, and it found one information on the YouTube, the username, who am I tag. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and maybe even join our Discord. You're super welcome. I hope you learned something from this, and stay safe.